It is a chilly start to Monday. Pretty cloudless sky. It's got that dawn feeling where the sun isn't quite up. There's definitely that first light. The skyscraper buildings mostly lit up with office lights. It's got a little bit of an blue-orange complementary color wheel aspect to it. Very pleasing. I think our temperatures are supposed to start dipping pretty hard this week. Something about an Arctic blast or Arctic freeze or something that's coming our way. Just good. It's December. Let's get that cold going. I'm just outside of the park now on Central Park West. I grabbed a couple of photos from just that dawn light, the moon hanging over the San Remo building. A couple of photos of the pond, the lake, the ducks in the lake. Yeah, it wasn't cold enough to keep the ice on top, at least that top layer of ice on top of the lake. And all the snow that came down Saturday, Sunday. This weekend is all gone. I have a feeling if I was out, if I got to start maybe about 10 or 15 minutes later, I probably would see the sun come up and hit those east-facing buildings on Central Park West. One of my favorites. The east skyline is starting to get pink. I think we've got another 15 minutes before the sun rises. I have to imagine that these streets are going to start getting quiet pretty soon. The holidays are here. I think at the end of this week is probably when folks take their 2 weeks. Yeah, I have to imagine that even Friday this week will be a quiet Friday. It'll probably stay pretty quiet until that first full week of January. A good time to get a lot of stuff done. Boy, what a start to the year for Liverpool. It's a good lesson to remember that, especially with sports, there's so much that happens behind the scenes, and not a lot gets leaked out these days, which is pretty incredible given how much social media in sports has played such a pivotal role. Remember the NBA a couple years ago when all those trades were happening and being announced on Twitter. Seems like that's sort of died down more or less. I mean, there's no Twitter, so maybe that's part of it. Or there's no central space for folks to gather, chat, DM, the singular space like there was with Twitter, where like the news organizations, the reporters, the players were kind of all in one space. I don't think that really exists anymore. Maybe a little context. Liverpool Football Club, one of the most successful English teams in history, came off of winning the Premier title last year. Pretty incredible when last year was a transition of coaches. Went from a very strong leader, very charismatic leader in Jurgen Klopp, brought Liverpool, realistically, back from the brink. Financially, they were in terrible shape. Didn't really have a player management strategy, player development strategy. Didn't really have a player strategy. They had some good players, but they also knew that they needed to bring in a team. So they had to get rid of a bunch of players. So over the course of 8-9 years that Klopp was in charge, just remade the entire club and re-ingrained Liverpool into the culture of the city. the transition to a new coach and, quite honestly, a new management structure. Last year, and incredibly, a complete opposite and managerial approach from Jurgen Klopp to Arne Slot, who is very, I'd say more or less calm. On the sidelines, he does throw a temper every now and then, especially when he's frustrated, which has become quite regular recently. Yet last year, they still won the title and did pretty well in the Champions League. And while they saw some key players leave over the summer, they brought in a wealth of talent. And while they brought in a wealth of talent and have to manage that transition of players, integrate them into the system, integrate them into the city, integrate them into the culture, the life of a Liverpool player, tragically, they also had a player pass away. A very good, a very young Portuguese player. So now you're dealing with a grief that will continue. That these players who spend all this time together, and to realize that one of them will never be coming back, not just to the team, but to this world. That's just another tough thing. You've got new players, generally got a new coach. You have a death of a player, a very loved player. So you're not starting the season off too well. I mean, they're not horrible. They've played horrible, but the results aren't horrible. I mean, they're probably a mid-table team right now. So here's where you figure your leaders are going to step in and step up, right? They're going to take control of the locker room. They're going to handle the press, the media. They're going to have conversations with the young players that they're bringing in and continue to develop. On the field, they're going to continue to lead by example, all while dealing with a change in leadership, a change in management, a loss of a player, new players coming in, friends, old players leaving. I mean, think about it in your own office world, your own career, something like that happens, and it's bound to throw up a couple of squiggly lines. So to throw all that on top, throw that all together, and on top of it, Mohamed Salah, who is one of their greatest ever players, is now starting to pitch a fit that he's not playing enough and that he's earned the right to start every game. And maybe a little context around Mohamed Salah. Was an okay player, left Chelsea, went to Roma, became a better player, came to Liverpool, became a great player. Has signed a couple of very lucrative contracts, as is his experience and skills and leadership provide or suggest that he should. To be quite frank, he stinks this year. He's never been a player that comes back and helps defend. And in a new system that Arne Slot's putting together, I don't know all the details, but compared to Jurgen Klopp, when it was just rock and roll soccer, he didn't have to come back all the time. Now he has to. There's a change in the system. And he's starting to throw a fit. In fact, he went in front of the media yesterday and eviscerated his coach. And from my perspective, there's a lot more reading I have to do. From my perspective, eviscerated the fans and really eviscerated his history with the club. I mean, the words that he used were planned, thought through, and spoken. What is it? Admonish in private, praise in public? Oof, not the first time he's done this. So this will be a very interesting week. They're headed to Italy this week. Liverpool are to play. I think they're playing Milan in the Champions League. It'd be interesting to see if he's even on the flight over there.